What's going on, guys? I am kind of chasing an issue with the Corolla right now. It tends to kind of drop RPMs when I'm in drive and I make a stop, like I'm sitting at a stoplight. So like when I'm sitting at a stoplight, I'm in drive, the RPMs will drop down, it'll kind of shudder and then pop back up. So this issue could be several things. But the first thing I'm going to do is pretty much the cheapest one on the list. There's others on the list, you know, your throttle position sensor, stuff like that. But what I'm going to do first is my positive crankcase ventilation valve. It's like, I don't know, like $8 on Rock Auto. I picked one up. It got sent to me. The process isn't too in-depth. But you do want to take your time with it, and I'm going to show you how to go about it. I'll put a little clip of what the car is doing, because maybe yours is doing the same thing and you're trying to chase the issue as well. Like I said, I don't know if this will fix my issue, but at least I know this should be replaced. Come to find out, these are supposed to be replaced like every 30 to 40,000 miles. I know for a fact I do all the maintenance on this car, and I have never done it. So it could very well be my issue, but we're going to find out. So I've removed my cover and the whole engine is exposed. On some models of the Corolla, I forget what year, your crankcase can be up here. On my particular model, because it's a 2011, and I think that goes all the way up to 2014, maybe 2015. I'm not 100%. It's hidden behind this. So we've got to get way under here, and it's right behind this underneath. You cannot reach it without removing this part. It's just part of the build. So we've got to disconnect the box. We've got to remove the wiring harness. There's 4 bolts that hold this on. We've got to remove all the hoses. We got another 2 little small bolts holding this rail on. And once we do that, we can back it out and have access to our PCV. We went ahead and just started by removing the entire hose. You can just detach it from this side and kind of pull it this way, but I feel like it takes up a lot of space and it's super simple to remove. So we just went ahead and removed the whole thing. Now's a good time. You can check your throttle body, make sure it's clean. Mine looks super clean. But I just noticed I have a little bit of dirt and stuff down in these little grooves. I'm gonna grab my little shop vac real quick and vacuum this out, because I don't want anything getting down into those holes when I back this off. So I'm gonna vacuum this out real quick before we get started. Now that I got all the little bolts out, I'm gonna take my time and work these 2 clips off, making sure not to bust them to get this electronic wire harness off. If you can see on this, there's a little tab. You just push that tab back and it slides off right there. I'll move the tag out the way so you can see, but very simple on that one. Just lift that tab. This one's a little bit harder. I'm gonna need to get a screwdriver and push down on the tab on the back of this. Let me just show you what it looks like. If you can see it, there's a little tab right here. and you got to push down on it so that little pin allows you to get it out. The hoses that we're going to do is we're going to want to do these, this, and I'm probably going to do this small one right here so there's not much tension on it, even though it does look like it's got a little bit of play. I'm just going to do that one just to be sure. And then, let's see, maybe this one as well. I just don't want to put any stress on these hoses because, you know, they are rubber and over time they do crack, and I don't want to have to replace those right now. So I'm going to take my time, remove those 4, and then we'll be pulling this off. All right, in order to give myself a little bit more room, I went ahead and I actually disconnected the throttle body as well. It does reach, but not as far back as I wanted this to rest without me having to like strap it back to hold it, and I don't want to put stress on stuff. Also, very hard for me to film, so I just had to do it, and I'll show y'all when I put it back on. But the hose that goes to the positive crankcase, it is extremely tight on the bottom of the throttle body, hooked into this part, and I couldn't hardly film it because I had to have both my hands in here, and you couldn't see what I was doing anyway. But you want to be extremely careful wiggling this hose because mine seemed a little bit fragile, and it's almost like, it's not like this hard rubber. It's like a soft, kind of cushiony rubber. I don't exactly know how to explain it, but it's very easy to tear. And I was making sure I did not tear that. So take your time with it. Do not rush that part. That is crucial. But now I'm going to show you. Let's see if I can get this tag out of the way. Down here is where we're working. It's got this one little hose clamp deal that I got to kind of wiggle back, and it's hard because there's not a lot of room. It's harder to do it with one hand than it is with two. But there it is. It slid back far enough. And come on. And there it is. Slipped it off. Did it one hand. This is the hose I was talking about. You can see how already the ends of mine kind of has some cracks in it. So I'm just going to be careful with it. It's not deep cracks. It's just right there at the entry. But this is the hose you got to remove. And that down there is our positive crankcase. So I'm going to get out the 22 millimeter and we're going to back that sucker out. So what I got here is I got my 22 with the universal because of the angle. And I have it on a 1/2 inch just to give me a little bit more oomph than a 3/8 would. But I've got this long extension on here. I'm going to wiggle this in here like so. Get it on there. And work on breaking this free. Yeah, here we go. It's pretty tight in there. And like I said, you're supposed to change these, or supposed to have them changed every 30 to 40,000 miles. Mine just has not done that. I've never done it, so I know it's never been done because I'm the only one that services this car. So So here's the part. It's pretty black right there. And they say if it's good, you can hear that rattle inside, which I can hear the rattle inside. So I think it's still good. However, like I said, this is a $4 part, $8 part after like taxes and shipping and stuff like that. So we're gonna swap this out. I mean, there's no reason not for me to do it. gonna go grab the other one. Yeah, so here's a comparison. There's the new one, and there's the old one. There is a significance in the look. Threads are the same and everything, but you can tell that this one is worn and this one's new. So we're just going to pop this one in and call it a day. Once you get your new PCV installed, now would be a good time as any, especially if you're like me and I've never really taken the intake off. I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna clean around on this, because as you can probably see, they're pretty dirty. So I'm just gonna wipe them down real nice. Make sure I'm not replacing my gasket, because my gasket looks good, and if I need to, it's a super easy part to fix. But if you are gonna replace it, make sure you don't put any brake cleaner on it ever, because it'll dry rot the gasket. Or if you're cleaning it, don't get any brake cleaner or anything like that on it, because it will dry rot it. Basically, I'm just going to wipe it down real nice just around each of the holes and try to make it a smooth, clean surface for it to mate up against when I go to put this back together. One thing that you want to do, anytime you unplug electronics, like I unplugged my throttle body, I disconnected the battery. So because I disconnected the battery, it's going to give everything a fresh new restart on the electronics. When I connect it back up, it'll read everything properly, and we're only going to be able to find out this after a test drive. All right guys, well, hopefully that's going to fix my issue. I would love for this car to have that issue resolved for about $8, but only time is going to tell. I'm going to drive it here in a bit and see if that did the trick. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I fixed it and I don't have to go start going through more expensive parts. But yeah, if y'all have a similar issue, might try this. I'll keep you updated in the comments whether it fixed it or not, and we'll go from there. We might have another video where we're having to change another part on it to try to resolve that issue. So until then, we'll see you later. All right guys, so you get to see a different view of me today. I'm actually on my way home from my normal job, and I'm driving the Corolla because I wanted to make sure everything's working, and that $8 part that I changed was my issue. I was really hoping it was that $8 part and it wasn't something bigger and more involved, so thank goodness. Bad news is I can't show you a video of the idle dropping because I had a clip of it. I don't know what happened to the clip of it. I guess it got deleted somehow, some way, but it got deleted and I don't have it anymore. But the idle, every time I would go up to like a stop sign or a red light in this car and I'm in drive, as soon as I stop completely, the RPMs would drop to, I'd say, well below like 800, and the car would shudder, almost as if it's going to shut off and then it'd come back on, and then it'd idle fine. But it did that every time I stopped, never when I was driving. But me changing that PCV valve has fixed that issue, thank goodness. And it drives way better than it did, it idles way better. I'm just all around super excited that $8 part fixed my issue. But other than that, thanks for stopping by, guys. We'll see you in the next one.